Gump report. This is now my third video. I've done my NXT review. I've now done the Adam Copeland and AEW review. Now, well, not review, but my thoughts on it. And now, John Cena. Is he the greatest of all time? Guys, since I started saying this when John showed up, I'm like, really? Look, I've heard Just Alex, and he, excuse me, he said John Cena is not the greatest of all time. I believe I heard a little bit of JD talk about it, and he doesn't believe he's the greatest of all time. He doesn't come close. Now, I have a different take on it. Let's make this clear. The way John Cena is, there are two categories of wrestler. There's the greatest of all time across the entire board. In other words, to everyone who saw them as a heel, saw them as a face, who also saw them as a little kid. Because remember, you got adults who will love you as a face. You have adults who love you as a heel. And then you have children who will love you either way or hate you either way. Those are the three criteria. And when it comes to John, when I still have his DVD set of when he did his documentary. And one of the things he said, and I believe it's in there, he said, while I was doing my work, I noticed something. I noticed when I was going through the Dr. Thugonomist, when I was a bad guy, I noticed that the people there, they're more kids than anything else. John decided to change his focus from being a heel to turn to a face for kids. He wanted to be more towards and orientated towards kids. So, as someone who's the greatest of all time, who caters to people who love him as a heel, people who love him as a face, and kids who can love him either way or hate him either way, he's more catered to the kids. Whether he was a face or a heel, mainly face. That's how he was, a good guy. He's catered to the kids as a good guy. But because he catered so heavily to kids, yes, he did Make-A-Wish. He also did charity work. He's done a huge amount that WWE threw at him. He did it. He's been this. But the rest of the fan base, which were adults and teenagers, they could take him or leave him. Most cases, they hated him because he stayed like this, and in many cases, he buried a lot of people. Let's make this clear. John is no better than anybody else. He's no better than Hogan. He's no better than Rock. He's no better than Stone Cold Steve Austin. When they think their spot is needed to be a certain way, and they got enough clout and influence, they will have it the way they want. Vince will still choose, at that time, back in the 90s, 2000, 2010s, before he went to do movies, he booked you, but he did give you leeway when you say, look, Vince, this is the way I really see things. Look at this. And if Vince agrees, he will run with it. And that's what happened with John. John has been orientated towards kids since, 2006 2007 maybe? 2008? I can't remember. It's been a long time. Either 6 to 8 is when he switched from heel to face, because he started in 2002. He was very generic. He didn't find his real footing until around 2005 to 6 maybe. I think 6. Because yes, he did win the Intercontinental Championship or U.S. Championship, but he had not fully gotten over yet. He was over with the kids. But the problem with John, you didn't know where he was going to land as a face and how much people were going to hate him. Because he was a face here, but across the board, people just didn't like him as a face or a heel. They just didn't like him. Well, technically, he was a heel. The way he buried people, people saw him as a heel. Very few saw him as a face. Not saying it was a bad face, but many thought he was generally a heel and screwed over everyone. So he had very little face recognition and was more heelish, but to the kids, he was a face. Kids is what he orientated his entire stick after. But as time went on, he won over the crowd in one way and only one way. since he's stuck with being a face, that's for kids. And because he was screwing people over, and we know there were a lot of wrestlers, Bray Wyatt, when it came to Wade Barrett, when it came to, I don't even know how many people, I've lost track. There was so many people that could have gotten over really well with him, and they did not go there. Either because Vince chose not to go there, or John chose not to go there. Let's be honest. John did not choose to go there. Vince didn't choose to go there either. One of the two. There's no way it was just Vince. John had to do that as well. But as time went on, he became so controversial, it didn't make a difference. It didn't matter that people loved him. He was so controversial because of how he allowed himself, and Vince allowed him, to be booked. He became an icon. Flat out. And that is how he becomes one of the greatest of all time. Starting out just trying to cater to kids and refusing to change his character, or Vince refusing to change his character, or both. Both of them. Either one or both. And he just got over in a way that not many people would suspect. It's not about him being loved. It was about him just being so controversial, he was just recognized. And as being recognized more than being loved or just flat out hated, it's just as important. Remember what I've been telling people when I used to do my Booking the Wrestler series, when I was booking wrestlers from AEW, Impact Wrestling, and even once in a while WWE, very rarely, but AEW and Impact. I always said it is more important to be recognized for relevancy than just holding a damn title. Look, Steve Lombardi was the Brooklyn Brawler. He was Kim G. He was Dunk, and several other characters. It wasn't the fact that he was the greatest wrestler there was. No, he was a good wrestler, but he wasn't great. It was that he kept doing different characters. And people have never forgotten about the Brooklyn Brawler, who I liked the most. When it came to Kim Chi, when he was working with, Kamala, doing Doink the Clown. And other characters. People knew it was him. People knew it was Steve Lombardi. But the key is that he stayed relevant and mostly was thought about because he kept changing. Look at the Junkyard Dog. He was not the greatest wrestler of all time. He never won any general accolades. He never won any general, I don't remember if he won any type of belts or anything in WWF. But he was the most loved person. Coco Beware. Because of his bird, because of his personality, because of how he orientated that all in his wrestling, because he was a damn good wrestler being so small as he was. The one that I loved the most was Brutus the Barber Beefcake and his barbershop sessions. I loved that. It wasn't that he was the greatest wrestler. He was not even close to a Hogan in how he performed in the ring. He just didn't have that type of charisma, but he knew to use what he knew. And when it comes to John Cena, he's done the same thing. And look how he translated that. Look, you can say a lot about John, but John learned while as a wrestler, take whatever's been thrown in front of you and try to make it the best you can, and ask as many questions as you can, and ask, how is this? What can I do better? Where can I improve? Is this good? And then also be assertive, saying, look, I know this works. This is the way it should be. That's what he learned. And he translated that into movies. Look, the guy has done The Marine. The guy has done all the movies you can think of. He's been in the Fast and Furious. Look, out of anyone, John is one of the few who has been in the most broadest amount of movies. He's taken A-class movies, B-class movies, C-class movies, D-class movies. And so did The Rock. He learned from The Rock. Even though he had an attitude with him, he did learn it and apologize to the way he acted. But he's doing the most amount of movies, TV shows, commercials. He's done commercials, guys. He has done voice work. He He did do voice work for an animated series. I don't remember the name of it, but he did voice work in an animated series. He's going to broaden his horizon as much as he can to make himself as marketable as possible. And now he's back in WWE because he's got nothing to do until the actor's strike is over. It shows that he's that versatile and he's still that over. He's still a goofball in the damn ring when he's acting like when he was at LA Knight and LA Sign. He's going, oh! That is still catering to kids. That look he gave was not catering to adults. That was a kid look. Like, ah! That's John. He is one of the greatest, but he's not the greatest of all time. But I'm not taking anything from him because catering to kids, he did it. He is the greatest of all time catering to kids. More than Hogan, more than Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He has. Let's make it clear. He's focused his entire energy on children. Doing Make-A-Wish, doing charity work, movies, certain movies he's been trying to make sure it's for kids. It's always been catered that way. Of course, he has done bad guy stuff as well, but you get my point. As a wrestler who's catered to children, he's the best, the greatest of all time. The only person that easily could outclips him would be Hogan. But due to the fact that Hogan changed to being a bad guy at one point, when the WCW became a heel, you can't say that. If it's just straight out face, there's only one other person, but he doesn't have the same accolades or even close, and that's Ricky the Dragon. That's here. Ricky the Dragon is here. John is here. And that's just the deal. And I hope you enjoyed this Gump Report. Please give me a comment below. Oh, I'm going to be uploading my NXT review because this is being done on the 3rd. And I wonder why I cough. Because I talk too damn much. Peace.